Psalm 6. Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am faint. Have you ever felt so weary that even your prayers feel heavy? The psalmist begins with this raw honesty. Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am faint. This is a cry from the depths, a soul laid bare. Not the cry of someone in perfect control, but of someone stretched thin by sorrow, weakness, and the weight of life. The body may be tired, the mind restless, the heart burdened. Sometimes even faith itself feels faint, like a small candle flickering against a storm. He calls to God with urgency, because in this vulnerability, no one else can rescue him. The plea is simple: be merciful. Mercy, not justice. Relief, not lecture. Presence, not pretense. Notice the quiet teaching here. When we are faint, when despair creeps into the corners of our hearts, the first step is honesty. Admit your weakness, name your tiredness, bring the faintness into the light of God's awareness. Even as he cries, he does not yet see relief. He only knows the depth of his need and the mercy of the one he calls. In this tension between weakness and hope, the first breath of trust emerges. This faintness, this exhaustion, is not the end. It is the soil from which deeper reliance on God will grow. And as the heart leans into him, even softly, the first stirrings of peace appear. So if you find yourself weary today, remember, it is okay to be faint. It is okay to cry out with your whole being. Mercy meets those who come as they are. And in your weakest moment, you are seen, you are heard, you are not alone. Psalm 32. Blessed is the one whose sin is covered. There is a weight that no one else can see, a secret burden pressing against the soul. The psalmist reminds us, blessed is the one whose sin is covered. Sin whispers in shadows, lingering in the corners of our hearts. It might not be visible to anyone else, yet it shapes every thought, every step, every heartbeat. Until addressed, it feels like a shadow that follows wherever you go. Blessedness comes when we bring these hidden burdens into God's light, not to be condemned, but to be released. Confession is not merely admitting fault. It is the first step toward freedom. When the psalmist says, whose sin is covered, he points to mercy that transforms shame into relief. Imagine carrying a heavy sack on your back, moving along a lonely path. Every step presses harder. Every glance backward reminds you of what you wished were hidden. Then, suddenly, someone lifts it off. The weight vanishes. You breathe. You are free. This is the blessing of confession. We cannot undo our mistakes, but we can place them into God's hands. We cannot erase the past, but mercy covers it, softening its hold on our hearts. Notice the psalmist's warning. Hiding sin only multiplies its weight. Unspoken guilt eats away quietly, causing restless nights, physical weariness, a heaviness almost unbearable. But naming the sin, speaking it to God, opening the soul, brings immediate relief. It lightens the burden. In honesty, a new song rises. Gratitude, hope, and trust. The one who confesses does not merely escape judgment. They enter blessing, peace, and the embrace of God's forgiveness. So if you carry shame today, remember, confession is courage. It is the pathway to freedom. Even as you release your load, quiet anticipation for renewal blooms. Psalm 38. My guilt has overwhelmed me like a burden too heavy to bear. Sometimes guilt doesn't whisper, it shouts. It presses against the chest, clouds every thought, and makes even simple tasks feel impossible. The psalmist does not speak of small regrets. He describes guilt as a weight that overwhelms, a burden too heavy to bear alone. It can make the body ache, the mind restless, the spirit weary. Sin, when unacknowledged, does not stay silent. It shapes our inner world, making it hard to breathe, to rest, to hope. Even here there is a doorway. Prayer. Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. The psalmist knows only God can lift this weight. Guilt is not meant to imprison. It is meant to point toward God's mercy. It reminds us that we cannot carry this alone, that we need grace, forgiveness, and healing. The imagery is striking. The heart bowed, the body trembling, the eyes dimmed by sorrow. Yet in this, a glimmer of hope remains, even overwhelmed. The psalmist continues to pray, continues to seek God's presence, continues to hope for deliverance. So if you feel guilt's weight today, know that acknowledging it is the first step toward freedom. Bringing it to God is not defeat, it is courage. And in His presence, even the heaviest burdens begin to lift. Psalm 40. He lifted me out of the slimy pit. There are moments when life feels like a pit, slippery, dark, inescapable. The psalmist declares, He lifted me out of the slimy pit. The pit is a place of despair, isolation, and feeling trapped by circumstances beyond our control. It is where guilt, fear, and hopelessness mix into a thick, suffocating weight. And yet, even here, God's hand reaches down. Picture this, sinking in mud, walls closing in, every movement seemingly futile. The psalmist paints the scene vividly so we can feel despair, and then the miraculous relief of rescue. God does not admonish from above, He intervenes. He bends low to lift the weary, the struggling, the faint. This psalm is both prayer and testimony. The psalmist has been in the pit and now sings of salvation, of deliverance, of mercy reaching the places we thought unreachable. This lift is not earned, it is a gift. It comes not from perfection, but from God's abundant love. The act of rescue itself becomes a song of hope, inspiring trust even when the future is uncertain. Once lifted, the psalmist rejoices and testifies and waits expectantly. knowing God's goodness continues beyond the immediate rescue. So if you feel trapped today, remember, the pit is not the end. The mud will not swallow you, even when you cannot see the way out. God's hand is there, steady, patient, strong, and as your heart feels the lift, a seed of courage takes root, a willingness to hope, to trust, to step forward. Psalm 41. Lord, have mercy on me, heal me, for I have sinned against you. Even after rescue, the soul can still feel broken. The psalmist cries, Lord, have mercy on me, heal me, for I have sinned against you. There is humility in this prayer, a recognition that even after deliverance, sin leaves its mark. The plea is layered, healing for body, mind, and spirit, acknowledging that sin hurts the relationship with God and others. The psalmist models restoration. Admit the wrong, seek God's healing, wait with a trusting heart. Notice the balance. Confession and hope coexist. He leans closer to God, allowing mercy to enter. Healing begins when we stop hiding, when we allow God to touch our wounds. For us, this teaches that God's mercy is ongoing. Rescue is not one time. The heart may carry scars, and calling on God for healing is part of lifelong faith. Even in repeated mistakes, even when shame threatens, we can approach God with confidence in His steadfast love. As the heart takes steps toward restoration, a rhythm forms: honesty, trust, waiting, assurance of mercy. This prepares the way for Psalm 51, where the heart is made pure and whole. Psalm 51. Create in me a pure heart, O God. Some wounds run deeper than we can see. Create in me a pure heart, O God. Renew a steadfast spirit within me. This is the heart of restoration, not just forgiveness, but transformation. Sin leaves its marks on the soul itself, and the psalmist calls for a creation only God can accomplish: a new heart, a steadfast spirit, a life aligned with His presence. He does not ask for temporary relief, but inner renewal. Against you, you only, have I sinned. Taking responsibility without excuse opens the doorway to mercy. For us, this is a timeless truth. Restoration is more than relief from guilt. It is the making of a heart capable of trust, love, and steadfast devotion. Imagine the soul as a field trampled by storms. Confession clears stones. Mercy brings gentle rain. God's Spirit tills and sows seeds of new life. Even what seemed ruined can flourish again. So if your heart feels heavy, weary, or stained, bring honesty, longing, and prayer. God brings transformation, and as He works, the soul begins to breathe hope and trust again. Psalm 69. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. Sometimes life feels like a flood, relentless and unstoppable. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. The imagery is vivid, rising waters, engulfing waves, a sense of being trapped. This could be overwhelming circumstances, relentless sorrow, or cumulative weight of sin. The cry is urgent, raw, but it is also faith in action. Calling to God is an act of trust. The psalmist remembers the community, shared struggles, enemies, injustice. The plea is personal and communal, prayer and hope intertwined. Even when submerged, the soul reaches upward, calling for rescue. Even before deliverance, faith stirs. God sees, God acts, God saves, and this sets the stage for communal restoration. Psalm 79. Help us, God our Savior, for the glory of your name. Some prayers reach beyond the self. Help us, God our Savior, for the glory of your name. Life is rarely faced alone. The psalmist remembers the suffering of his people, devastation around them, collective sorrow. The cry blends personal urgency with communal hope. The shift. It is no longer only, "Save me." It is a plea for God's glory to be revealed, for His name honored through mercy and restoration. Faith is not private, it radiates outward. Even when despair overwhelms, enemies seem strong, hope remains. Looking outward toward God's glory lifts the soul, acknowledging fragility, crying for mercy, trusting God's name shines through trials. After communal pleas, the psalmist turns inward, waiting patiently, longing for God's guidance. Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Sometimes the soul feels bottomless, sinking in darkness. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. The depths are despair, regret, loneliness, longing. Yet the cry itself is faith. Even in darkness, God can be reached, heard, trusted. The psalmist descends into the depths and simultaneously reaches upward. This dual movement, honesty and hope, is powerful. Patience is quiet endurance, waiting not anxiously, but expectantly. Mercy is near. Redemption is certain. Love endures. If you, Lord, kept a record of sins, who could stand? Instead of fear, hope, forgiveness, restoration, redemption. Bring the depths to God. Do not hide. Even heavy burdens, our voices can reach Him, and He responds. Even before answers come, hope stirs. Peace takes root. Trust strengthens. Psalm 143. Do not bring your servant into judgment, Even after cries and pleas, the soul longs for guidance. Do not bring your servant into judgment, for no one living is righteous before you. The psalmist admits his frailty, his limits, his weariness, yet he leans fully on God, acknowledging only divine mercy sustains. Notice the heart's posture, not demanding, trusting. Teach me to do your will. May your good spirit lead me on level ground. Prayer for guidance, steadiness, protection from harm. Even in judgment, mercy is possible. Even in uncertainty, God guides steps. Even when past failures linger, forgiveness is within reach. A gentle rhythm emerges. Plea, trust, guidance, hope. Faith itself is a cycle of honesty, surrender, mercy, renewal. We cry, confess, hope, wait, trust. God hears, lifts, renews. Conclusion: mercy, hope, and rest in God. From faintness to guilt, from despair to renewal. The Psalms guide us on a journey of honesty, mercy, and trust. They remind us we are never alone. Across the Psalms we see weakness laid bare, faint hearts, overwhelming guilt, burdens too heavy to bear. We hear cries for mercy. Be merciful. Forgive me. Lift me from the pit. We witness God's response, rescue, healing, guidance, a pure heart. The Psalms invite a rhythm. Cry, confess, hope, wait, trust. Honest prayer meets mercy. Even when life feels uncontrollable, waters rise, shame weighs heavily. There is hope. Faith is communal. Some prayers personal, others echo suffering and hope of the community. God's glory shines through mercy, restoration, and justice. Patience is sacred. In the pause, in the quiet, God is at work. The heart learns trust. The spirit finds rest. The soul experiences peace. Bring your honest heart, your fears, guilt, sorrow. Cry, confess, hope, wait, trust. As the psalmist shows, God hears, lifts, renews. Through it all, the soul can rest. Let these psalms be your guide, companion, and meditation. Mercy is constant, hope is enduring, love is unfailing. No pit too deep, no guilt too heavy, no night too long. God is faithful, and in Him